So forever, the rhetoric from the far right has led to mass killings of people in the trans community, beatings and sexual assaults and killings, and just run out of society. I mean, horrible. The rhetoric has gotten worse, which leads to more attacks on the community, right? And it's all based on lies, right? They don't call that hate speech. They lie about a scapegoat group. They work up the mindless masses against that scapegoat group, right? The barbarians, they work them up against the scapegoat, and then they have the barbarians attack, right? And they want to disarm people in the scapegoat group. So they send people after you to attack you, and then they try to disarm you at the same time so you can't fight back. That's intentional murder. Meanwhile, recently on Fox News, one of the hosts had, he suggested euthanizing homeless people and the mentally ill if they refuse to go into institutions and quote unquote get help. He suggested euthanizing them. As if that's not bad enough, after he did that, someone actually did go out and shoot up a homeless encampment. I'm not sure, a few did die. I don't know if it was two or some did die and others were injured. But no one is calling that hate speech except liberals and people on the left, right? Conservatives are not calling that hate speech. Conservatives are not trying to get him fired, which he should be fired, and worse. He should be charged with what happened to the homeless people because he worked up the shooter. They know what they're doing, working up the mindless savages against target groups. But nobody's calling for that. The hypocrites on the far right, they're not calling that hate speech, right? Nor are they calling hate speech the endless rhetoric that is getting trans people beaten and killed. But as soon as they can pin something on the far left, suddenly they want to burn everything down. They want to take everyone's rights away, right? Now they're saying they want to they're firing liberal and leftist newscasters and broadcasters and journalists and calling it hate speech when it's not. They're just telling the truth. Meanwhile, they lie about people on the left to get people killed, and they don't call it hate speech. Now they're calling for the extermination of not only groups and organizations among liberals and leftists, but of liberals and leftists themselves. They're literally calling for the far-right barbarians to kill liberals and leftists and trans people, and they're silencing free speech. Right? They're firing any reporter who tells the truth, calling it hate speech when he or she is just telling the truth. But the hate speech coming from their own, that is getting people killed, that they think is perfectly fine. It's only hate speech when they disagree with it. If they agree with it, no matter how vile and horrific it is, they have no problem with it. They'll defend it. It's getting bad. Bad is already bad. It's getting scary to the point of, having a bag packed ready to flee. They're taking over the media. They're calling for executions of people on the left. They're calling for the total destruction of the trans community. Why? Because they blamed the shooting of Kirk, the far-right activist. They blamed his shooting on the trans community, even though the shooter was not transgender. First, they blamed it. They said they said there were trans images or something, references inscribed on the casings of the bullets. That was a lie. Then they had to change the situation to say, well, he was trans himself. That was a lie. Okay. And they just keep moving the goalposts. They keep coming up with new excuses every time their lies fall apart. Even though they know he wasn't trans, they're coming up with new excuses, and they're blaming the trans community, and they're trying to destroy the trans community and liberals and leftists in general. They're waging all-out war. And they put people in a position where they force you to fight back. Right? They call you violent. They call you extremist. They call you terrorist. And they actually create violence against you so that you have to fight back. And as soon as you fight back, they use that to prove that you're violent and to justify the violence against you. It's very circular. This is twisted. And the psychopaths at the top know exactly what they're doing. They are not stupid. But the savages they're working up to act on their behalf are fucking morons. They're too stupid to know what they're doing and to even understand the logic of action, reaction, cause, and effect. You falsely accuse people of being violent and terrorists and the entire group, not just some people in the group, but the entire group, right? Violent terrorists, all of them, and then you wage war on them. You force them to fight back, and then you use the fact that they're fighting back to prove that they're violent, and you have to kill them. What the fuck? A person would have to be a moron to not see this twisted reasoning. But this is the element that the psychopathic rulers have put in charge of everything. And the intent of their intent was to destroy this nation, and that's exactly what's happening. As for targeted individuals, anyone can be called mentally ill. Targeted individuals are regularly called mentally ill for speaking about what's happening to them. Okay. Now the conservatives are calling for mentally ill to be either institutionalized or lethally injected, like killed through lethal injection, or just shot in the streets. A lot of targets are homeless because they're run out of society. I cannot forgive anyone who still defends this, especially if they're being targeted themselves. Just because you're not the ones being affected by these laws right now doesn't mean you won't be. Well, what about the targets who are being affected by these laws right now? Do you have any idea how much worse things are getting for them? What about them? Oh, but the left, enough. At this point, it's not going to get good for us. It's bad and it's worse. Now we're at the worst part. Like if this was a scale of absolutely fabulous to absolutely horrific, we're in the really, really bad part now. There's bad, there's worse, and it goes all the way up to completely horrific, and that's the direction we're going in. Fascism, this is Nazism. Christo-fascism is neo-Nazi. This is a neo-Nazi group that has taken over. I don't want to hear but the left anymore. This is exhausting.